Hello, everyone. Welcome to our pre-meeting program for March. As some of you know, well, hopefully all of you know, at our February membership meeting, we endorsed passage of the Crisis Care Centers levy that's going to be on the ballot in April. 100% of our members present voted to endorse this critical levy. And in particular, I'm very supportive of how this levy is dedicated to providing care to youth in need within our communities. This evening for our pre-meeting program, I'm proud that we will be highlighting an organization right here in the 34th that supports our community and providing needed social services for families and youth, including behavioral health services. Before I turn it over to our guest, I just want to also note we are providing closed captioning as part of this meeting in this pre-meeting program. So if you click on the more at the bottom of the screen and click captions, you can click show captions and turn those on. I'm now going to turn things over to our first vice chair, Rachel Glass, to introduce our guest and lead our programming this evening.
Thank you, Chair Graham. Welcome, everybody. It is so wonderful to have you here joining us for our special pre-program. And I'd like to introduce Steve Daschle. Steve is the Executive Director of Southwest Youth and Family Services, a multi-service agency serving Southwest Seattle and King County. He has served in this position since 1988. He is the co-chair of the Seattle Human Services Coalition and is active in the King County Alliance for Human Services. He has a Master's of Public Administration degree from the Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University. So Steve's going to talk a little bit about the organization and also talk a little bit, share some information with us about the wage study the University of Washington put out in collaboration with the Seattle Human Services Coalition, of which Steve is co-chair. So this is really exciting. The two topics are related as hiring and maintaining staff is one of the key challenges to maintaining effectiveness in our mental health sector. There's going to be some, I think, check the chat box. There are a couple of links that you can refer to, a summary and links to the full study and appendices links to the full study of this study that Steve is going to tell you about. And I'm going to add in a story from Erica C. Barnett from Public Cola that's going to supplement that. So just look for that in the chat. But without further ado, I am just extremely happy to welcome, and let's give a 34th warm welcome to Steve Daschle.
Oh, thank you very much, Rachel. I really appreciate it. And I see Councilmember Mosqueda is with us tonight. So if I miss anything on the wage equity study, feel free to jump in. You are as much responsible for that as I am. So thank you again for your endorsement of the Crisis Center levy that's going to be on the ballot in April. I can't begin to tell you how critical that passage of that levy will be for the future of behavioral health in King County. Part of, I was kind of hoping, there's 4 adult centers and 1 youth center. And I was kind of hoping they'd do a second youth center, because to have kids from all over King County come to a single crisis center is kind of a problematic for me, but I'll, this is a great start, and hopefully we'll make the investment and we'll be able to demonstrate the effectiveness and usefulness of this approach. You can't seem to walk down the street without tripping over a urgent care center these days, but the fact that none of them really offer behavioral health in that context, I think says a lot about the healthcare system in our country, and I think we have work to do to correct that. But I'm here tonight to talk to you about Southwest Youth and Family Services, bring you up to date on what we're doing and some of the new work that we're involved in. And then we're in the midst of a capital campaign to build a new building in White Center. So I'll describe that a little bit. And then we will, then I'll talk about the wage equity study that the University of Washington did in collaboration with the Human Services Coalition. So to begin, Southwest Youth and Family Services, our main office is located down on the Delridge playfield. So if you play pickleball at the Delridge pickleball courts, or if you use the fields on Delridge for any reason, we're the sort of brown building that sits on the south end of the block across the street from now it's called B Plumbing. But the organization has been around since 1979. I've been the director there since 1988. And in that time, we've essentially focused on four main broad areas. The first is our counseling program. In the context of behavioral health, I think it's important to point out that, I think the backbone of behavioral health is a lot of these smaller efforts to try to engage people from different parts of our community. And we're no different. I think that most of the work that we do is Medicaid for people using Medicaid coupons. And we're part of the King County Integrated Care Network. We're a licensed mental health agency, and we use master's level therapists in our work. The important thing, though, I think, is that we also bring our services to a variety of other contexts. Many of the schools in West Seattle depend on us to provide therapy on site for kids who are in need of it. And these days, coming out of COVID, young people are in desperate need of behavioral health support, just working through the challenges that they've gone through the last 2 years. And, on top of everything else, I think I saw a study recently where 50% of the teenagers in our school systems have contemplated suicide. I think, it's shocking that we are in a situation where those numbers are so high. And it's important that we have people in the community who can support young people as they're struggling with these questions about, what is the value of my life, and how can I break out of this cycle of desperation that they find themselves in. So we have counselors that meet young people in the schools, in our offices, in coffee shops. Frequently, they're walking around on the playfield, just walking and talking, and we try to make ourselves available to as many young people as possible. We're also working in Southwest King County in the Highline School District in a similar fashion. We offer in-school counseling, but in the Highline School District, we also have a new program that we're working with that came out of Chicago called Becoming a Man, or BAM. There's a women's program called Working on Womanhood, but we're starting with the BAM program in the Highline School District. And the concept there is it's a really innovative approach to digging deep for helping young people to sort of develop their own sort of sense of what it means to become a man. They work on a curriculum that's been developed over 20 years in Chicago, and it's based primarily on the men's movement and men's work, where they sit in circles and they talk about their own sort of feelings about what's happening in their lives. In a supported and focused way. So we have counselors in each of the middle and high schools in the Highline School District to support the young people in that way. The Youth Guidance, the organization that developed this program in Chicago, is now working, I think, in 170 schools in Chicago. No, I think it's 150 schools in Chicago. And then They have programs here in Seattle. We're the only program that is licensed to youth guidance. Otherwise, it's an expansion of their own organization. They have they're in Los Angeles, in Kansas City, in Washington D.C., in Boston, in London, England, and they're developing more programs across the country. We've been at it for about 3 years now. We had a rough start because this is literally a hands-on program. And about a month after we introduced it in the schools, they were shut down because of COVID. So we had to, move to an online version, which was not ideal. But now that schools are in person and we're full on, we're serving about 170 young people in the 6 schools in the Highline School District. So that's been a real boost for us. It's really an interesting effort, collaboration, I think, with the Highline School District, and that is allowing us to pull kids out of classrooms. The teachers are in support of it because they see the impact it has on the young people who attend our program. So that's really exciting. Our second program is our Family Resource Center, which is focused primarily on immigrants and refugees who have come to this country looking for a new life. And in that work, we typically support families in a variety of ways. We're one of the established family resource centers in Seattle. And there's a growing statewide movement of family resource centers that essentially meet families where they're at. They come into the building looking for support. We identify what their needs are, and we help them learn how to help themselves with using people who come from the communities that they're from, to work through the housing challenge, work through education questions, connect them to healthcare. The one thing that is I keep pointing out to folks is often these folks come from places that had virtually no rules whatsoever, no law whatsoever. They're used at resettlement camps that have very limited resources and very few sort of structures to support community. To the US, where we have a system for everything. If you want to get cable TV, it's a process. The new immigrants and refugees have to come and sort of learn how to make that process work for them. And our advocates help them work through those barriers, work through those systems, so that they can access the services and supports they need to be successful. So that's really exciting. We also do a variety of parenting skills trainings for everybody in the community. And then as part of our Family Resource Center, we have I think, one of the best programs ever developed. It's called Parent Child Plus, where we have home visitors visiting families in their homes with a very simple intervention. They go twice a week for 23 weeks for 2 years. And in their first visit, they read a book with their parent and the child. And they demonstrate to the parent how to read the book to the child. And then in the second visit, the parent is asked to read the book to the child. And then the home visitor helps them, work through the conversation that occurs between the child and the parent. And then in the second week, they bring an interactive toy that allows the parent to interact with the child in a play process. And then in the second meeting, the parent, plays with the child with the toy. But what they found, this program's been around since the 60s, but what they found is the kids that finish the whole 2 years end up graduating from high school. And these are 2-year-olds. So, we're working with them from 2 to 4. But with that foundation, those kids end up graduating from high school at or above their middle class peers. Whether or not, regardless of what language they speak at home, what their socioeconomic status is, it's an incredibly important early intervention program that allows for building that relationship between the parent and the child. It's just a phenomenal program. Part of the reason I like it so much is because you don't have to hire a master's level therapist to do this work. You can hire people from those communities who have just sort of natural empathetic skills that can help those, and these again are primarily immigrants and refugees, help those families build that strong relationship that ultimately leads to success in school and in life. So that's a tremendously wonderful program. We do about 120 visit about 120 homes in Seattle and South King County with that program. And then we have an education program for kids who hadn't had the chance to do Parent Child Plus and who have struggled in high school. They've either been kicked out or dropped out of school and have disengaged with the academic program or system. And our program is designed to help them re-engage in a way that is meaningful to them, that allows them to work at their own pace, to either get a GED or to graduate with their classmates if we can accelerate their credit attainment fast enough to allow them to do that. We have about 100 students in a classroom right now. We're using our classroom in White Center because our contract is with the Highline School District, and they are most of the students come from South King County. But there again, it's an incredibly important program when you consider that almost 25% of the kids who enter high school don't graduate. And it's critical, I think, that we provide as many opportunities for young people to re-engage in their academic lives as we can. And we're an important component of that effort, I think. We have our own certified teachers. We have this relationship with the Highline School District and OSPI that allows us to offer credit and the support that the young people need. And the critical difference between us and a regular academic program is we offer case management and support in the context of the Ed Center, so that whereas a traditional school is an academic program with a little bit of social services in support of it, ours is a social service program with academics as a part of it. And I think it's really important for young people to have those opportunities to re-engage and, again, to find a path to success in their own way. And then finally, we have our New Futures program that is located in 5 different apartment complexes in South King County. New Futures came to us as a part of a merger about 8 years ago now, when the program was at risk for failing in terms of the not having enough admin support to be able to actually sustain the program. And so they were looking for an organization that had sort of the like approach to service as they had. And we decided to merge. And so each of these sites in these 5 different apartment complexes are sort of a replication of everything else we do in the organization. And we do family advocacy, we do tutoring and after school support. We do a variety of skills training and activities for young people that live in those apartment complexes. We're kind of like the second living room for many families, because when you have two working parents, kids are often latchkey in the afternoon and they need a place to hang out and a safe place where they can get the support they need, and we provide that support. It's an incredibly, again, important program, and I think in in these apartment complexes, which are communities unto themselves, we provide that very important sort of central place where young people can feel safe and supported, and the families can feel confident that their children are being well taken care of. And that is a service that we offer to the families that live in those communities. Again, primarily immigrants and refugees. I think about 92% of our client base is low income, 89% are very low income, about 80% are people of color, and about 60% are immigrants and refugees. So we serve over the course of the year about 2,600 individual families or individuals, and about 1,500 families. Much of the work is fairly intensive, so it's not a one and done sort of thing. They come in every week or every day or every month and get supported by us. We have a budget of about $7 million and staff of about 92 people, most of whom are full-time. And again, our staff and our services reflect the communities that we serve. So we're trying our best to be reflective of the community that we are trying to be a part of. So all that to say that we've discovered many years ago that we were bursting at the seams in our Delridge building. We didn't have enough room for everybody. And so we started to look for an opportunity to expand in White Center, because as you know, if you've lived here for any length of time, Seattle is becoming way too expensive for people to buy their home or even to live. And so many of the people that we've been serving have been moving further south. And so in order for us to follow them south, we elected to participate in an effort with Community Roots Housing to build a number of housing projects that have human services as a key component of each of those projects. We have 5 different organizations, 6 different projects in 3 different communities that have been raising about, I think our total budget is for all of the buildings is about 45 million. We've raised about 37 of it so far, and 4 of the projects are complete or almost near completion. And then the final 2 projects, of which ours is the largest and the last project to get under construction, we're hoping to start construction in November. The building is going to be in the old public health facility site in White Center, right off of Dick Thurnow Park. Where the current White Center Food Bank is. We're going to clear that space, build 76 units of affordable housing, and then have a building that will contain the White Center CDA, who will be doing a variety of activities, both community building. We'll have a large community gathering space. They also do, business development, community development projects. They have some youth programming, and they are sponsoring 2 programs. One called Feast, which is a food education program for young people, and the Yes Foundation, which does after-school programming for young folks. We'll have a commercial kitchen. We'll have a recording studio. It'll be a really wonderful space for young people to access and get served. And then we'll have our education program downstairs in 3 nice classrooms that open out into the park. And then on the 3rd floor, we'll have a collaboration between Health Point and Southwest Youth and Family Services, where we want to integrate this idea that healthcare is more than just what you get in a doctor's office. It's all the things that happen outside of the doctor's office. We call it the social determinants of health. And so between our behavioral health program and all of our other services and the healthcare, the primary healthcare that HealthPoint will be providing, we think it'll be a wonderful resource for that part of White Center to access. And we're very excited for it. It's we're in the final phases of the fundraising for it. We have a $3 million ask into the state legislature. So if you happen to see Joe Wynn or Joe Fitzgibbon or Emily Alvarado, let them know that that would be great for them to support this program. Joe and Nicole Macri are sponsors in the House and the Senate. Emily can't do that because she's in the business and it'd be a conflict, but she can certainly support it. And just let them know that you think it'd be a great idea to build this new facility in White Center. So that's really exciting. We're really looking forward to getting that underway. It's been a long process, 5 years working on this together, but it has been a joy because we've developed some amazing facilities, Liberty Bank building in the Central District, the new Bird Bar Place, which used to be gosh, now I'm spacing on the old name, but you know, the incredible firehouse facility in the Central District that supports the African American community primarily. We're doing work with Jen Pride for a senior, the first senior housing specifically for LGBTQ plus families, and a support program for them. And then there's some arts programming that was done with through Community Roots Housing that is being part of this campaign. So it's really incredible work that all these organizations are doing, all in support of the notion that we need to create spaces that allow people to stay in the communities that they grew up in, and create affordability and access to services in their own communities, so that we don't continue to see the sort of the drain of our communities because people simply can't afford to live here anymore. So we're thrilled and excited to be a part of that process. So that's Southwest. I'd be happy to answer any questions about the organization, but I could also just keep talking at you about the University of Washington Wade study. I think that's really exciting, and that's also just come under just been released. You know, the Erica C. Barnett article, and there's a great article in Crosscut last week as well about this study that I think probably will do a better job of explaining it than I am. Oh, great. Yeah, that'd be helpful. Yeah, the only problem with the view I have is I'm giant, but everybody else is small. So I don't know if I'll be able to see everybody's hand. So if somebody else would help me. If anybody has a question, that'd be great.
Yes, and we also have the hand raising capability. So if anyone has any questions up till now of what Steve has presented to us about, does anyone have any questions, or do we want to just file ahead and talk about the study? I do not see any questions at the moment, so let's just go ahead, and then we will have another opportunity at the end for questions. So Steve, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, that sounds fine. And you know, I apologize. I'm not a big PowerPoint guy, just, you know, so the wage equity study came about in part because, you know, over the last, 35 years or more, 37, I think now, the Seattle Human Services Coalition has been working with the city to talk about the critical importance of human services. We were founded back then when Mayor Royer suggested that, maybe it'd be a good idea for, rather than you guys coming in and advocating individually, why don't you come in and advocate as a group? So we created the Seattle Human Services Coalition to bring together all of the other coalitions that support human services in Seattle to speak with one voice about what we think are priorities for the city in terms of investments in the budget, but also in terms of policy as it applies to human services. So over these last few decades, we've been working really hard, and I think we've seen some incredible accomplishments. I think with this crowd, I can talk about, in my opinion, the reason we've arrived at this place is because, the Reagan administration really introduced this notion of devolution, this idea that, we have to put decision making at the lowest level of government, and in so doing, let's disinvest from the federal government and the state government and county government down to the city governments. And ultimately, it became the responsibility of major cities to step up to the responsibility of providing for the human services needs of their communities. And Seattle's no different. We went from, I think less than $500,000 city investment in human services in 1988 to, I would venture to guess it's probably approaching $1 billion these days with the levies and the various ways that the city is making investments in human services now. And so this work is really critical to maintaining some the level of function that we have to in order to maintain a society and a community that is functioning. And as part of that, interestingly, it's become fairly apparent to all of us that, in so doing, we've sort of depended on the human services sector to provide these services at a cost that is far less than it should be in terms of our staff, some of whom have to apply for the very benefits that we are helping other families access. It's clear that systemically and historically, the work of women, the work of people of color, who are the primary drivers of human services functions in our country, are undervalued. And remarkably, there hasn't been sort of a broad study of what is that, what is the hit that human services workers are taking when they take these jobs, when compared to people in the public and private sectors, if you have like skills. And so, again, with the incredible leadership of Councilmember Mosqueda and Councilmember Herbold, we were successful in getting the city council to agree to fund a study to look at that problem. What is the cost of providing human services to the people who are actually doing that work? And so we went through a process last year to identify a group that could do this study. We went through a fairly rigorous process to select a group, and it was interesting. We had some really competitive applicants, but the one that we chose was a group out of the School of Social Work at the University of Washington that brought together this incredible team of researchers from across the country and even the world that would take a look at all of the sort of the salary studies that have been done over time. And then look at how they compare to their like kinds of positions in the public and private sectors. And what they found was, the highlights are that we are at roughly 37% less than our colleagues in the public and private sectors. That is the most conservative of the numbers that they arrived at. There's another part of the study that is looking at the value of the work, and they used a very innovative approach to sort of weight the kinds of responsibilities that every position holds, and then compared people that had similar kinds of jobs in the public and private sector to how would that rate in terms of their value of that work compared to what is being done in the human services sector. And it's really amazing. I mean, in that aspect of the study, it looks closer to like 40 to 60% less when you compare the actual work that's being done. So, and the other sort of complication here is that we're talking about, we're being paid 37% less. For us to be able to increase our wages to get to parity, it would actually cost us about 40 to 60% to get to that, that parity. And so over time, we've been, dealing with that challenge. And, the impact it has had is that, in the context of behavioral health, for instance, when your master's level counselors are being paid at a rate that is almost, you can almost get a barista job that pays almost as much as some of our master's level counselors were being paid. That is problematic. We're having such a difficult time to fill positions, and I know everybody's having a hard time. My wife works within the transportation sector, and bus drivers are impossible to find these days, and we're no different in that, except that when we can't fill a position, that means that any number, 20, 30 people are not going to be served, are not going to have the resources they need to be to overcome a problem, or to address a behavioral health challenge, or to deal with something that may be emergent or in crisis. And that is, I think, in large part, what is driving what we're seeing in our community today, is that we simply don't have enough people to do the work necessary to meet the needs of everybody who needs support. That is compounded by the fact that we end up paying that much less to folks who really need this support, and really need to be able to provide services in a way that is effective. And then on top of that, we have turnover that creates a situation where you're constantly retraining people. And so in a sector that is based on relationships, having clients and participants having to form new relationships with new providers all the time also sort of diminishes the effectiveness of the work. And so that is the situation we find ourselves in. And we are working closely with the city of Seattle, with King County, with the state, and with our private foundation and individual donor supporters to help raise the sort of the visibility of the fact that we have some incredibly dedicated, hardworking staff who are grossly underpaid for the work that they're doing. And I think this study does an amazing job of sort of drawing out how this sort of came about. There's sort of a historic analysis in it that allows people to see, this is based in, all the isms that, racism, sexism, misogyny, all those things that have prevented human services workers from being recognized for the incredible work they're doing. We have a challenge in this country, I think, overall, that we tend to sort of value. We have misplaced values in terms of where we put our money. Teachers and social workers and human services support folks are being paid the least, and people who push money around get paid the most. And we have to figure out a way to balance that a little better in this country. And I think this study will help us provide some of the intellectual underpinning that that argument will have to have, as we move forward through our decision making around public policy. I see it's about 7:15, and we want to allow time for the transition to the meeting. So I'd be happy to take any questions at this point. I know I sort of, yeah.
Ann Martin, looks like we got hands up there. So we'll have Ann Martin and then Elizabeth Heath.
Hi,
right.
Steve. Nice to see
Hey,
you. How is this study being distributed? How high and how wide?
Well, we're as I said, we're doing media outreach right now, and so we had we have 4 articles, and I'm trying to remember which outlets they've been in, but I know Crosscut was last week. We had Real Change. We had I believe Axios is coming out with an article, and then there was one more, and I can't remember what it is. But
Well, I'm just thinking Patty Murray was talking about programs that the president was going to bring forward for Washington State, and this just seems like something that fits into that narrative. So that's it.
Thank you, Ann. We are trying to get it out as broadly as possible, and I put the report in the chat. So feel free to send that out broad, far and wide, because I think it's really critical for folks to see it for themselves, to be able to understand what we're trying to accomplish here. I see Joe McDermott up there, and King County has also been very much involved in this, as the city of Seattle has, in terms of trying to struggle with the concept of how do we make this work within the the current sort of financial environment. My big concern is we're probably heading to a recession where all these problems are going to be exacerbated, and we need to have some ideas about how to address it before the crisis occurs. And again, we have some of the best thinkers in the planet in our councils, and they are very helpful in helping us think about how to make this actually become a reality. So help us spread the word. That's I think the best part of our what we can do. Most of it is focused locally, but as I said, this is a first of its kind study, and there's interest across the country and even that internationally, because this is one of the first times this approach to looking at the problem has been taken. So I think it's groundbreaking in many ways. I'm really excited for it.
All right, Elizabeth Heath has a question, and then Roxanne, you are on deck after that.
Hi, Elizabeth here. I've got 4. One,
Great.
Years ago, Riane Eisler published a book about the very thing you're talking about, with the value of women's work or work in the home, people helping their relatives. And she did like a financial analysis. She looked at it through an economic lens and was saying the gross national product does not include this, they don't value this work. Is this study built on her work?
I don't know. I don't know what the source materials are for the researchers. I suspect that it was probably taken into consideration. I mean, the folks that worked on this have been in the field for a long time. And so I presume that they probably contributed to that piece of work as well. But I don't know. It's a good question.
Okay. Secondly, when I was involved tangentially with the immigrant community, one of the challenges when they were referred to helpers from their own community, some of them were afraid to disclose because the confidentiality was questionable and they were afraid that the community would learn about their issues. Has that been dealt with?
Well, I mean, that's always part of the challenge, I think, is, especially undocumented immigrants are always concerned about, being sort of discovered. And that is, I think that is part of the what organizations working with immigrants and refugees have to address. I mean, part of the answer is using people from those communities who are sensitive to those issues and who can help navigate around some of the barriers, have a better shot at being successful in sort of navigating all the crazy systems that we have in this country. So, that's my sense of it, is that's probably the only approach that can be taken. I don't, other than the immigration reform, I'm not sure if there's a mechanism available for us to work that out.
Another one.
Elizabeth, if you could just pick one more of those, just because we're short on time and we have.
Okay. How can, and is there a place for volunteers in the community to help with your agency, and what roles might they be given and what skills might you want?
Well, that's an interesting question, because we've one of my struggles over the years, and Martin could probably attest to this, is finding roles for volunteers. I mean, part of our challenge is each of our programs are, very specific in terms of the way they provide the service, with the exception of New Futures. I think New Futures is probably better equipped to have volunteers to show up and participate. But our other programs have always struggled with how can we most effectively use volunteers. And so we don't have a huge volunteer base. I mean, this past year we did this incredible back to school giveaway where Amazon came in and provided $150 of really innovative approach to it. We were the only one of two sites that they did this at, where they used computers on site, and kids were given a little gift card, and they went up to the computer and they ordered everything they wanted from Amazon on site. And they got a few takeaways, but most of what they got, they ordered it on the computers that were brought to our center, and then the stuff was delivered to their homes by Amazon. It was really amazing how that worked out. But we had a number of volunteers on that day. We have, any time we do field trips and that kind of stuff, we ask for volunteers. So my best recommendation is to check in at our front desk and see if there are any volunteer opportunities available for that particular day. And I have to say, it's probably not that often because those are like one-off sort of events. And then we're always looking for effective board members. So, talk to the community about if you're interested in board work, and we'd love to have you join the Southwest Board.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Roxanne, go ahead. We have time for one more question.
Okay, this is kind of a question comment. Having just worked with a team in King County on gender-based violence and finding ways to help survivors and stop the epidemic. Looking at your website or the website for the WOW and the band, the young women's and the men's that you've got going on in Highline, those look like programs that will empower a generation to work at ending gender-based violence, along with many other things, addiction, et cetera. And since we have Joe McDermott here and Teresa Mosquito, can we get more funding for this, and can we get it into more schools? Because these are the kinds of programs that can change a generation. And having worked at high school at the administrative level, it's needed desperately everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Roxanne. Appreciate it. I'll let Joe and Councilmember Mosqueda respond.
Teresa, I think you get a title and I don't, only because I'm a former board member at Southwest.
That's right.
Well, thank you for that question. And I just love hearing all of the package that Steve was able to bring to this discussion today to really outline how everything intersects. Absolutely. I love that question. Thank you so much. And there's so much more that we should be doing at the local level. I was proud to have increased the mental health funding in schools in last year's budget from 1 million investment to 4 million by the time we passed it out of council. And I said at the time, that's a down payment, and we'll continue to work with our state legislative partners who are busy right now. I know today was cut off, but there's a big commitment to continue to invest in mental health funding within schools, and also to think about how that could be not just counselors in schools, right, but community oriented and driven counseling programs. So exactly what Steve's talking about is where the upstream investments must start. So thank you for that question. I hope that helped a little.
And if I could add one more bit, one of the recommendations from the study was that, to meet our goal, we need to raise salaries by 7% over and above inflation. And I want to again commend Councilmember Mosqueda for championing the notion that the city should invest in human services at the level of inflation. So our contracts are tied to this CPI rather than just some random or arbitrary inflator every year. And I think this year especially, that has made a tremendous difference for those of us in the work. Last year, I made the difficult choice, but the correct choice, to raise salaries pretty significantly. I ended the year with a huge deficit, and this year I'm hoping for better. In part because we were able to get a 7.6% inflator on our contracts from the city of Seattle, and we're deeply grateful for that.
Okay, well, we've just got a couple of minutes before our general membership meeting starts. Steve Daschle, I want to thank you so much, as always, for just your wealth of knowledge, encyclopedic knowledge, and just the work that you're doing is so needed and appreciated. And I'm sure that you are changing lives just multiply. So anyway, one more time, if we could give a warm thank you, hands up to Steve for being here tonight with us. And if anyone, Steve, do you, Carla, I think Carla put the website link into the chat, but is there, Steve, do you have a direct link? If you want to just pop that in the chat so that it'll be there for the rest of the meeting if anyone needs to, take that down and hold on to it. Thank you.
Yes, I put